scream echoes from the valley.
What are you doing?
I am jumping.
Jumping, jumping.
I am jumping.
What are you doing?
I am jumping.
Every child around the world is special and unique, but some have a more special need for attention than others. These are children born with deficiencies which leave them in a state of dependence almost all their lives.
My name is Bibara Inkere. So I'm the convener of the Engraced Ones Prayer Support and Advocacy Initiative. It's a parent support group for special needs. I have a 9-year-old daughter who lives with Down syndrome. Then some time ago, 5 years ago precisely, the Lord now laid it in my heart to get women together, with passion for children, parents, and other people who just love children, to just pray. Then we started just like as a prayer group. We were just like praying for the children, and along the line, we started other things. We now felt that, okay, apart from prayer, we needed to know more about the conditions of our children. So we started attending trainings together, organizing trainings, and also we started sensitizing people, because we believe that our children must eventually come out into the public space. So the more people know about their conditions, the better for them. So we started getting people, sensitizing people, social media, lots of social media advocacy and sensitization programs.
Miracle's conception, which came after many years of waiting, was welcomed with joy and beautiful dreams, hopes and anticipations, until what came as the unexpected struck.
It's a kind of roller coaster thing, because naturally as a parent, I had my aspirations, I had my dreams. I wanted this particular child. Okay, this is my last baby, so I was like, I wanted her to just have fun. I wanted to enjoy my ride as a parent with her. And so when she came, and we got the diagnosis at 3 weeks, we were told that she was living with Down syndrome. Of course, the rejection, I was like, it can't be, and all of that. How do you know? So the doctor told me some telltale signs, and we started the journey. So it wasn't easy. First of all, she didn't walk at the time she was supposed to walk. Even as a parent coming back from work, when your child is like 3 months, 4 months old, you see that recognition. Your child, recognizes you. When you play with your baby, you bounce your baby, the baby bounces on your laps and all that. This one, when you want to bounce with her, her legs just, and all of that. And even when we bought her the walker at maybe 8, 7 months or so, the way a child will stand on the walker and be, moving around the house with excitement, we didn't get all of that. So we didn't get to like play with her as a baby. She was just there. She wasn't really like playing with us. Like you observed, there was a gap between her and her brother. So I was believing God for a child. And one of those days we went for a church program, fruitfulness class. And my spiritual mother, Pastor Mrs. Mary Abioye, she prayed for us that those of us who are believing God for children will conceive. She gave us her shoe to wear, her jacket to wear. And in that meeting, I was the only one who got pregnant. And so when the baby came, somehow I felt that this baby didn't come from any funny source. This baby came from God. So because this baby came from God, she's a gift. And God in time will prove why I got this gift. My pregnancy's journey used to be kind of difficult. I wouldn't eat, throwing up, all those kind of things. So it was the same condition.
The same condition?
Yeah, but I noticed something. Yes, I noticed that sometimes I would, like I'm getting dizzy. Occasionally in the office, I'll be like, I'm dizzy. Sometimes when I'm driving, I'll have to park. So I went and I registered this particular baby. Like I said, I planned to enjoy it. So I went to the best antenatal clinic, better than my previous children, and I went to that kind of clinic. I was always, in fact, every week, and every time I had an appointment with the doctor, he used to scan us. I was always undergoing scan and everything. And he was even the president of the Gynecological Society of Nigeria at that time, that doctor. So I don't know why he didn't notice anything. But I used to tell him that I'm feeling dizzy. But he would just say, it's okay, it's okay. Even when I had the baby, funny enough, I had her at home. I had the baby at home, but I noticed that she didn't cry. So I was like, immediately they called the midwife and everything. The doctor eventually came. I told them, and I still went to the hospital. I told them that the baby didn't cry. And the doctors were like, oh, maybe she didn't feel like crying. Maybe she didn't feel like crying. But
should have
yeah, that should have sense because even before she was 3 weeks, when the doctor eventually diagnosed it, I was like,
sensing something.
my mind would keep going to the fact that this girl didn't cry, the baby didn't cry. But that was all. But what even made us to know was that she now had jaundice. Okay, she started running temperature at less than a week old. I'd never seen a baby that tender running temperature because children with Down syndrome, they have a peculiar temperature. So she said her temperature was so high and everything. So we see malaria. Eventually we found out that she was jaundiced. So it was when we went for, even at that one, the doctor said we should just put her under the light. We went home. But when she was 3 weeks old, we went again. The jaundice was still there. They admitted her. So even though the doctors there did not observe anything, it was when the day they discharged her, when the consultant came, he was the one who noticed it and now told me. So we still have lots of doctors in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say, but we still have lots of doctors in Nigeria who don't know anything about these conditions, who cannot identify these conditions, from birth. It was really beautiful. Wow. She was really, the only thing is that when people came to visit, they said, this girl looks Chinese, she has these slanting eyes. They said, this one is Chinese baby. And when she was 2 weeks old, my elder sister came visiting, and my elder sister was like, don't bathe her, this is our strong Nigerian way of bathing babies, that this baby is very soft. So that's, but that made my sister worried. And when she told my mother was like, I'll come over immediately. And this baby is very soft. So that was an indicator. Because children with Down syndrome, they have this low muscle tone. Low muscle tone. So she had it very soft, this flabby baby body. And of course the neck control. The neck control was very poor. But she held her neck at maybe 5 months. From maybe 2 years old or so, she started picking up, and now we are really having fun with her. She's really fun, and it's really not that easy, but God made it easy for us.
Green echoes from the valley.
Children living with special needs like Down syndrome have been found to have some common health and developmental challenges at different times in their lives.
Now, on Down syndrome, right? Being a man, so you need to have 23 and a woman 23 chromosomes, so making it 46 chromosomes. So, but on Down syndrome, in the 21st chromosome, so there is an attachment additional. So now it then makes it more than 46. So, and that is what leads to Down syndrome. Children with Down syndrome are being diagnosed having intellectual disability, and that means it also affects the IQ level. So the learning pace will be so slowed. So though it depends on the degree, some are mild, some are moderate, some are severe. Now, and it do affect most areas of their life when it comes to speech, because the speech organs were not well formed and coordinated.
But for Miracle, who has lived with Down syndrome for 9 years, developmental expectations have been a bit positively different.
We have been lucky, let me say, with her, because she didn't come with most of the complications children with Down syndrome come with. With congenital heart disease and so much. She doesn't have sleep apnea, she sleeps well, she has not had adenoid, nothing, she has not had all those complications. What we battled with was her walking. She had to go through physiotherapy to walk at 2.5 years old. And then when she was, now she's 9, she's still undergoing speech therapy. We still having difficult really getting to understand what she says. Imagine having a child and your child is 5 years old, 6 years old, and your child hasn't said mommy. Your child cannot say, I want water. Those basic things. So sometimes that pain is there. When she was like 3 years old, I realized that the speech wasn't there. And I realized that when she was 5, I realized that no matter what, even if she's not talking, she should be writing like other children in her school. So I always used to go to the school, like, why is she not writing? Why is she not doing her homework the way she should? And it was when she was like 7 years old, I went for a program organized by Dewdrops. Miss Lola Aneke organized that training. That was when I discovered that there was something called dyslexia. I never knew about that condition, dyslexia. I now discovered that she was dyslexic. So the learning ability is so slow and all of that. But gradually she's getting there.
For being different, both children living with special needs and their parents face different kinds of discrimination and social stigma, which further alienates them.
She was 1.5 and just going into preschool. So the day she started school, that day they said, okay, they received her by the next day because she was crawling on her tummy. She was a 1.5 years old. So the second day we went to school, they stayed on I met somebody at the gate. They was like, this boy can go in, but the girl can't come in. I said, why? They said, because this girl, the other parents, when they came to pick their children, they saw her, they were not comfortable with her, that they didn't have the facility to manage her. I said, what facility are you talking about? She wasn't drooling, she wasn't, I said, did she cry? They said, no. Did she eat her food? They said, very well. Did she play? They said she played. So what exactly is the problem? Even in church, when some people observed her, they were, oh, Auntie Bibi, oh, so sorry. I would be like, sorry about what? You know, so anybody that I meet, I see that look of pity. You know, that kind of thing. People, these days, you go out maybe to have lunch with your family, you just go out on a park, you just want to have fun with your family, and everybody's staring at you, everybody's looking at you, and you know, so that discomfort, even for her siblings too. One of those days we went to church, she was like 4 years old. Some set of children were like looking at her, staring at her like that. So I thought they were just admiring what she was wearing because she was wearing a beautiful top. And eventually her brother, who was 7 then, whispered to me that, Mommy, that these children are saying that Miracle is that she's dancing like a mad girl. Imagine, even for him, psychologically, imagine the trauma.
Socialization for the special needs children in Africa comes tough as a result of ignorance and cultural beliefs linked to disabilities. Though disheartening, Bibi Yinkere would rather see the beautiful side of her daughter's challenge and embrace it as an opportunity.
When I shopped for her, she had, I bought lots of nice dresses, nice things. And when the doctor said, and we celebrated her at birth. So when the doctor said this child is living with Down syndrome, of course then I didn't even know anything about Down syndrome. The only thing I remembered was that sometimes I see them on television dancing, when it's World Down Syndrome Day or something. That was the only thing. I didn't know, I'd not had a personal encounter with anybody with Down syndrome. So it wasn't funny at all. And the first thing that came to my mind was, you know, like you said, the disappointment. I started mourning the child I would have had, you know. I should have celebrated. I was like, so this girl, when I looked at the baby, I would say, when I see her brother watching cartoon and laughing, I would be like, so this child would never enjoy this kind of experience. And I looked at all the nice dresses. I was like, is it even worth it? All these beautiful dresses, are they worth it? And all of that. I had that. I felt that, but I can't really say when. But I think I didn't mourn for long. I think she wasn't even up to 2 months. Because I think God really helped, the God factor. As a special parent, don't leave out the God factor. Don't leave out the God factor. The God factor is very, very important. God helped me. So I was able to bounce back. And my husband, because he never, in fact, from that time till today, he has never sat to say, oh, this child, oh. Even when I want to start saying, this girl, he'll be like, she's okay, my daughter is okay. She's his best friend. She's his best friend. So with that mindset, so I didn't have anybody to discuss with, anybody to mourn her with, to complain about. So, and I never presented her as a problem to my family. I'm from a large family of 10. I never presented her to gather my siblings to say, see you. I never did. So because of the way I carried on, they too carried on like that. They never saw her. The same thing, even in my office. I never said, see you, hey. There was even no day I went to say I was away from work because of her or anything. I just carried on. And because I didn't see her, God graced me not to see her as a problem. So she ended up not being a problem. This didn't happen to me directly, but it happened to another girl with Down syndrome. She's also like my daughter. We went for a party, and when it was time for the children to dance, the girl stood up. somebody said, sit down. You know, that kind of thing. So I told the girl, stand up and dance. You know, so I think that my child deserves equal opportunities to any other child out there in the world. So I don't give, unless I'm not there, but while I'm there, I don't give anybody room to reject her. Anything she wants to do, if she feels like standing up to dance, she will dance. If it's like dressing up, there is nothing I feel that is not good enough for her. There is no place I think she's not good enough to enter. So in our home, there is nothing like rejection. We treat her exactly the way we treat the other children. Exactly the same way we treat the other children. So rejection, and because of the way we treat her, that is the same way my family treats her. That's the same way my in-laws treat her. That's the same way everybody in church, everywhere. She's even my most popular baby.
In building the esteem of children living with disabilities, family love and acceptance comes paramount. This the Inkeres have applied and are sure of its positive results in Miracle's development and confidence.
I felt that why this child? Why would I have this child? I had that kind of feeling that why would I? And even my parents too. You know, in fact, they gave me a lot of confidence too, because even though I wasn't talking about her condition, I never told them that they said this child is living with this or that. But they used to just, because when they saw that she wasn't working, they used to say that, don't worry, this your child will do well. That you have always loved children and you have always served God, that your child will do well, you know. So I didn't really get that kind of thing that, oh, this child came from any funny place. When you hide your child away, the day you bring your child out, the child can't cope with the public. But when your child socializes, then there is nothing to be ashamed of. The child says, once the child has accepted him or herself, and then there's acceptance in the family, the discrimination of the special child starts from the home. Most of these people have problems because even in their homes, they have not accepted them. Their parents hide them away from their friends. They hide them away from their colleagues. So when that happens, the child has a problem, you know. So the way you handle your child will determine whether you're going to have that problem of rejection or not.
The concept of disability has been examined from various cultural perspectives across the continent of Africa. And to a large extent, the African belief system plays a huge role in people's perception and attitude towards special needs children.
There was this orphanage I went to that they said that if in that village, once a child is born with such thing, they would actually bury the mother and the child. So there were a lot of things I met with. I think if the mother dies but if the child is not, so to say, not normal, then they will have to bury the child or probably kill the child before burying the child because it's bad luck to their community. A friend of mine had said to me that while she was growing up, she went to the village. I mean, she saw, just like you are seeing your friends, they were like 3 children, but she only knew 2. So one of the times she was there, she spent time with them. They now went to give the brother food at the hut at the back, and they pushed the food to him, you know, like it was an animal. So that's just their own way of covering the shame and the stigma.
Where adequate awareness on special needs is lacking, superstition overrides science-based knowledge. But can the ignorance really be blamed?
You know, as a group, what we do, we have discovered that the more people know about the conditions our children live with, the more there will be acceptance and the better for us. So occasionally we go out on the streets roving with our camera and interview people. So we went on the streets to ask people what they knew about cerebral palsy. And this lady was like, that those people say no. So if she has a child like that, she'll throw the child away. When we asked people about Down syndrome, someone said that those children are imbeciles. That they are imbeciles. That's, you know, she would not want to have anything to do with them. That's, you know, so that's how bad it is. The truth is that some of these families, these children you saw in the center, some of them, we met them in the course of sensitization. The parents, they knew that something was wrong with the child, but they didn't even know the name of the condition. The parents had never heard of Down syndrome. They'd never heard of cerebral palsy. They don't even go to hospitals, you know. So that's autism. They've never heard of autism.
Echoes from the Valley.
Around the world, children with disabilities have been incorrectly understood, leading to negative treatment from their neurotypical counterparts.
Parents, I don't know. Some children were laughing at my daughter For like 5 hours, they sat with their mother. Like 5 hours, they sat with their parents. Their parents didn't even notice that they were laughing at my daughter. So when after a while, I went to them, that talk to your children. Look at what your children are doing to my child. They were surprised. Lots of parents even keep their children away from children living with special needs. They don't want their children playing with them. They don't want their children playing with. They think it's contagious. It's not contagious. It's not COVID-19. It's not contagious. So most of the parents don't want their children interacting with these children, and then most of the parents, like I said, that in that school, the school authority said we don't have a problem, but the parents said if that girl is in the class, our child won't come again. You know, so this thing that parents do sometimes it's so cruel. I'm sorry to say, so cruel. You know, you don't want your child, you don't want your children, that child coming near your children. You don't want, you close. We have a child in our center that they close their door against him when he comes to visit. You know, so it's really bad.
Friend, food. What's this? Banana. Apple.
Every child, irrespective of health and developmental status, is capable of greatness, but only with love and acceptance can this be achieved.
Parents, I know it's not easy coping with these children. Depends, especially if your child is living with cerebral palsy, for instance, because the child may have the problem of mobility. Maybe 10 years, 12 years, the child is not even walking. It's not easy when you are not mobile. The child doesn't have a CP chair and all of that. It's not easy, but you have to make that attempt, that effort, because if you keep your child hidden away at home, the child will not be able to enjoy a social experience, will not be able to enjoy the spiritual experience, and even a neurotypical person, a normal person that doesn't socialize, begins to feel like he's less than human. So when you keep your child away, your child feels less than human. Allow your child to get the normal, regular life experience. Take your child shopping, take your child to church, allow your child to learn, to go to school. There is nobody who doesn't learn. Even people with dyslexia, they learn. So they all can learn. Let me quote by Tobilola Ajayi. She always says kids with CP can learn. I will say all children with special needs can learn.
Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.